Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Jack. Back again to bring you Mythic Portal Keeper Hasabel. Everything you need to know about getting this boss down from a healer's point of view. One of the big things on this fight is you will still be having your two teams going up and down through the portals, while you'll have one team that's just staying there over the course of the fight and just dealing with all the adds that are coming downstairs, and of course the collapsing world mechanic. So from a healer, if you're staying down on the platform, we had Priest, Paladin, and Monk who are staying down most of the time. We had our Monk kind of floating a little bit where our Druid was doing most of the platform jumping. In this encounter specifically, it's actually really nice to be able to have your more mobile healers being able to go up into the platforms, being able to deal with the mobs, and whatever kind of interrupts, stuns, CCs, and things like that can be added into the mix there. Now, on the platform itself, we had 3 boomkins, which was amazing, and it made it very easy to be able to take advantage of getting, mob CC'd with, any of the solar beams and things like that, and made life very easy for getting the mobs taken down very quickly. Because this fight is a little bit like Mythic Plus, where the better that your group is at like ad control, the easier it's going to be to heal. And that's one of the things as a healer is you don't exactly know going into this how easy it's going to be able to take some of these mobs down. So if you're able to, your biggest focus really is on the predictable damage. If you know that damage is going to be going out, if you know that, say, Collapsing World then is going to be dealing lots of damage to your group, then you have to basically make that a priority for everybody. So as a healer for staying downstairs, my biggest focus was making sure that everybody around, and basically we just had a ranged stack group here. Every single time we're just kind of pivoting back and forth from the Collapsing Worlds. Now, one thing that does kind of happen is you will still have, of course, the Fellstorm barrages, same as usual for this fight. And a lot of that is just, again, making sure you're able to get everybody topped off before these happen, and then going to be able to prepare for the next big Collapsing Worlds. Now, there will be some tank slows that will be going on for the tank on the boss. So one thing I made sure I did is I, periodically try to work on the timers there of when they might need a grip. And that way I'd just be able to grip them out of the Collapsing World. They wouldn't even have to worry about it, and we'd get that kind of expedited really quickly. Thankfully, it was there at the right place, right time for the first time that I heard about that happening. But it's always something to kind of watch out for. If you're a Holy Paladin, make sure you have freedom at the ready just to be able to give to one of the tanks, just to make their life a little bit easier by getting out of those portals there. One thing is the Collapsing World damage does get very high. So being able to rotate through your healer cooldowns and even rotating through external mana like Innervate is very important to do early on, because you don't want to make sure that you're not stressing out your mana too hard early on in the fight. This is quite a long encounter, and it's something that you need to make sure that you're utilizing all your resources very early on, even if that means that you're using, hymns, tranks, barriers, whatever, very early, where it seems like it may not actually be as good. So one of the things that we did here is, early on in the fight, I'm taking advantage of Innervate. That way I'm actually able to get some free casts and stuff like that for what is usually a very expensive ramp up. That way I'm making sure that I'm able to get that cooldown back, so every single time that we're having very large ramp ups, say when everyone's back on the same platform, I'm able to always have Atonement out every single time to be able to deal with this big damage. That's, something that's always a big priority for me. And as a Discipline Priest, you're always able to have Atonement up every single time the Collapsing Worlds are happening. The thing with Discipline, though, is that you need to make sure that you have good healers in between, because you want to be able to save your Power Radiance charges for the Collapsing Worlds. What this will entail, basically, is that it's nice having 2 other healers there to assist you, because there's plenty of damage going out. So where they're able to focus a lot of their healing into the intermediate periods, I'm always having Atonement out every single time that any of the Collapsing Worlds are going to be going out. And timing, again, is going to be everything. Making sure that you're preparing, and even if you're not a Disc Priest, making sure you're preparing all of your heals. If you're playing Holy for this fight, for example, you're making sure you're preparing a Prayer of Healing into a Sanctify every time. The quicker that you're dealing with that immediate damage, the easier it's going to be to deal with some of the imps that are spawning, any of the extra damage from the portals that are happening, because those are the real things that are going to actually be killing people, not so much Collapsing World damage. So what I usually try to do here is make sure that all the Collapsing World damage is instantly reversed. That way, if people are taking big chunky damage from any of the adds, we're more easily able to deal with that because everyone's starting from a position of full HP. As, of course, you're having to deal with some of the damage overall happening here, a lot of the tank damage is fairly light. For me, I just kind of made sure I kept Atonement out on everybody. But one of the things that kind of stuck out is how easily you're able to just kind of deplete your resources. And this is one thing, going over logs and stuff like that for other people, is I find a lot of times, it's very easy for groups just to be very reluctant to be able to use big healer cooldowns early on. But it's actually something that's extremely important in Mythic progression itself, where the quicker that you're able to use your cooldowns, and as you see here, we're approaching 5 minutes, we have to make sure that we're keeping track of all our mana, all our resources, and ideally placing your mana in a position that's going to be roughly equal to the boss's maximum HP here. This is just a good way of tracking your mana so that at the end of the fight, the last of your mana is going to be depleted. And that's ideally the best situation to be in, because that way you're going to be having all your mana gone by the end of the fight and making sure that you're going to be using every little resource at your disposal. So what I try to do here is just try to make sure that I'm desyncing Evangelism and Light's Wrath, for example, so that I'm able to make sure that I'm taking advantage of both of them for every single collapsing world, or I'm getting very, very close to that. So if ever I'm having everybody back in the platform taking damage from collapsing worlds, I'm making sure I have Atonement out on everybody possible, ready and set to go. Here, for example, I have Atonement out on 12 people in the group because the rest of the group is upstairs. So ideally, it's a situation where you'd like to have Atonement out on 15 plus people, but you have to make sure that you're doing something which is right for the entire group. And so for us in that situation, I needed to have my biggest abilities out and ready to go to ensure that everyone survived, because there's a lot of damage happening, everybody was really low before the collapsing world was going on, and there was going to be huge damage from the collapsing world itself, as well as ads coming out and the portals coming out. So as a healer, this is more of a attrition fight where you have to just keep on pacing yourself mana-wise, continuously using your resources, and not be afraid to be using your abilities very early on. So as you'll see here, just about every single time that there's a collapsing world, I have different atonement heals going out, taking advantage of inner baits and taking advantage of, some of your biggest strengths in this fight, because having, one class that is able to put out massive burst healing every 30 seconds. This is really where Disc Priest T21 is coming in handy here, is that I'm having Atonement out every single time this is going out, so I'm able to go back and forth at a constant pace, making sure that I'm getting everybody topped off right as the collapsing worlds are going off. So this is an amazing fight for Disc, but it's also a very healer-intensive fight, and it's extremely important to make sure that you're working as a team to make sure that you're getting everybody topped off. But again, I hope you guys found this useful. Hope you all found it helpful. The logs to this fight are going to be linked in the description below. If you have any questions about this encounter, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. I'll catch y'all next time.